The philosophy of Nichiren Buddhism is rooted in the idea of bringing forth the supreme dignity of life. By chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and sharing the teachings broadly, Nichiren Daishonin sought to lead all people to enlightenment and create a society of respect for the inherent Buddha nature in every human being. His writings reveal an acute awareness of the social ills plaguing 13th century Japan, and a bold vision for how Buddhist practice can uplift humanity and transform the environmental and material conditions of an age. Daishonin's work was a powerful rebuke of the authorities and spiritual mentors of his day who had grown complacent and morally bankrupt. If the Lord instructed the people in the Daimoku, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and led them onto the path of correct faith, there could be no doubt that peace would reign throughout the country, he wrote. But instead of that, they have become thoroughly evil and disreputable. This harsh critique of the social and religious leaders extended to the rulers and prevalent ideologies that justified the immense suffering of the masses. Donning the robes of a bodhisattva, one motivated purely by compassion, Daishonin challenged the doctrinal foundations of institutionalized Buddhism that had been corrupted by an attachment to wealth, power, and the privileged classes. In India, China, and Japan, it had become customary to instruct the people to abandon secular affairs and give themselves over entirely to religious practices, he seethed. In consequence, the people themselves have grown lazy and cowardly. The core of Nichiren Buddhism's activism stems from the idea that elevating individual lives through Buddhist practice connects directly to enacting positive change in society. Rather than retreat from worldly entanglements, believers are charged to dive into the struggles and upheaval of secular life and transform them through courageous spiritual readiness. As Daisaku Ikeda explains, in contrast to the tendencies of some Buddhist schools to retreat from the realities of daily life, Nichiren Buddhism encourages the practitioner to confront the contradictions of society as a way to develop oneself further on the path. The path to self-mastery is ultimately one of personal revolution. This begins with faith, the awakening of one's Buddhahood through dedicated practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. However, faith is not an internalized, passive state of being. It is an active, vigorous frame of mind that compels concrete engagement in transforming society in accord with Buddhist ideals. No one can avoid the karma they have created, Daishonin remarked. Those who have put their faith in the Lotus Sutra and chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo will definitely attain Buddhahood, but they must first make an effort to transform this world of ours into a Buddha land. From the 13th century onward, Nichiren Buddhists have taken up the challenge to wield their spiritual identity as a force for combating injustice and advancing peace. During his relentless persecution and exiles, Daishonin fearlessly maintained that correct faith in the Lotus Sutra provides the means to vanquish even the most cunning and oppressive authorities. If you practice according to the Buddha's teachings, how can I, a humble citizen of a little country, defeat you? He wrote to the regent who ordered his beheading. But if you go against the Buddha's teachings because of lies and slander, then of course I shall overcome you. Many centuries later, the Young Men's Division of the Nichiren Buddhist Association was deeply inspired by Daishonin's writings and engaged in grassroots activism throughout Japan's cities and villages in the years following World War II. Their passionate promotion of Nichiren's teachings empowered citizens to regain hope amidst the devastation, hunger, homelessness, and despair of that period. The Young Men's Division fought against the black market and cultivated models of ethical business practices guided by Buddhist philosophy. Peace and human revolution begin from the inner self. As your inner determination is kindled, you can change society, taught Josei Toda, who rebuilt the Nichiren Buddhist after being imprisoned as a persecuted minority during the war. This vision of human revolution continues today as a rallying cry for Nichiren Buddhism globally to take the lead in tackling daunting social crises through individual empowerment, community engagement, and institutional reformation. In modern times, based on the Buddhist principles of the sanctity of life and respect for the environment, the Nichiren Buddhism has been an ardent voice in the anti-nuclear movement. Convinced that nuclear weapons are an absolute evil representing the depths of human cruelty and destructiveness, Their advocacy promotes complete nuclear abolition and the channeling of those resources towards developmental and humanitarian aid. We will not stop until we have succeeded in securing a future of hope and limitless possibilities for all humanity, Akeda declared in his 2009 peace proposal. For our part, we will redouble our efforts to build a global solidarity for the inalienable cause of abolishing nuclear weapons. The Nichiren Buddhism's strong stance for protection of the environment also extends to other existential issues facing civilization. Members have been at the forefront of movements against global warming, resource depletion, habitat loss, species extinction, and all activities that inflict irreversible harm on the delicate biosphere sustaining life on Earth. At the 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Akeda called for a fundamental shift in human behavior, economics, and consciousness, admonishing that all people awaken to the internal quest for peace, all people enjoying the opportunity for education, and all people working to build an ethically grounded global society. These are the pledges and commitments that our times require. In line with Nichiren's philosophy that all people possess the equal inherent dignity of Buddhahood, the movement has been a champion of women's rights and the abolishment of discrimination, oppression, and prejudice. Living Buddhism summarizes this principle. To the degree that the dignity of life is respected, women's untapped potential to lead humanity in a positive direction can be fully realized. As Buddhism took hold in Japan, many women were active proponents of Nichiren's teachings. However, the philosophy of absolute equality between the genders was not always upheld, a betrayal of Nichiren's exhortations. The modern resurgence of Nichiren Buddhism has solidified women's emancipation from outdated patriarchal norms as a crucial social aim that is inseparable from the religion's fundamental respect for human life. In addition, Nichiren Buddhism has been outspoken in its support of LGBTQ rights, taking courageous stances against the bigotry and violence faced by sexual minorities around the world. Its worldview celebrates diversity in all forms, both in the religious community and in society at large. We totally reject hatred and discrimination against any person or group based on their sexual orientation or gender identity, a 2015 study curriculum declares. Every human being deserves to be warmly accepted and embraced for who they are. Education is another primary arena where Nichiren Buddhism's ethos of human empowerment and self-actualization finds potent expression. Instead of esoteric and elitist philosophies, Nichiren taught that the mystic law must be propagated widely, accessible to all people, even the most underprivileged strata of society. This egalitarian spirit inspired the education system founded by educators aligned with Nichiren Buddhism's aims of fostering each student's unique abilities and cultivating an indefatigable human spirit. With an emphasis on holistic child development beyond rote academics, humanistic model nurtures robust enthusiasm for academic pursuits while nurturing the inner strengths of wisdom, compassion, and moral courage. Throughout the Nichiren Buddhism school curriculum, from early childhood through higher education, the ultimate aim is to raise generations of global citizens equipped with reverence for all life, cultural literacy, and the vital skills to champion justice and environmental sustainability. As Toda proclaimed, "The sanctity of life is my soul's conviction, a passion burning within me that can never be extinguished." The struggle to impart courage through faith, through religious practice, is the mission to which we humans are summoned. In the face of tremendous social and ecological challenges confronting humanity, Nichiren Buddhism offers a spiritual foundation for meaningful activism and a path for positive global transformation. Its insistence on bringing forth the highest dignity inherent in all human life is a powerful clarion call to move beyond self-centeredness and unleash waves of compassion, wisdom, and respect. In the Nichiren Buddhism's current focus areas of peace, education, and cultural exchange, the common thread is the idea that individual inner reformation catalyzes profound change on a global scale. Rather than seeing societal ills as abstractions to be addressed through top-down policy reforms, Nichiren Buddhism places the human being at the center of enduring solutions. At the heart of this humanistic approach is the conviction that each person, through their Buddhist practice, can become a Renaissance person brimming with creativity, empathy, and an inextinguishable life force dedicated to the happiness of self and others. This dynamic process of perpetual inner motivated renewal and growth is what Daisaku Ikeda terms human revolution. A great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of a nation, Ikeda remarked, and further, will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. In letters, speeches, and writings, Ikeda consistently emphasizes that the struggle to realize peace and respect for human rights begins within one's own spiritual life and emanates outward through courageous actions. Chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo functions as a potent means of self-empowerment, a tuning fork that aligns one's life with the universal rhythms of respect, compassion, and the tireless quest for justice. This focus on transforming the depths of individual lives as the prime point for catalyzing social good is a unifying strand throughout Nichiren Buddhism's engagement with issues like nuclear abolition, environmental protection, human rights advocacy, and the reformation of key institutions like education. Rather than being causes peripheral to religious practice, these areas are understood as the natural expression of Buddhist principles applied to the interconnected web of life on this planet. Ultimately, Nichiren Buddhism's ethos rests on the idea that awakening to one's inherent Buddhahood through assiduous spiritual practice unveils a powerful sensitivity to the suffering and crises facing humanity. This sensitivity stirs the believer to courageous engagement in order to shield the sanctity of human life and the delicate biosphere sustaining all existence. From this perspective, positive societal change is the fruit born from individuals' profound inner journeys of self-discovery. The purpose of the Buddhist lifetime lies in one's dedicated commitment to the sanctity of life and active resistance against anything that might violate that sanctity, Ikeda declared. Our mission is to make our societies and the world at large good places in which to live, to transform them into local and global households where respect for the dignity of life reigns supreme. In this way, Nichiren Buddhism is neither world-renouncing nor world-affirming. It is a dynamic, ever-evolving expression of reverence for the shared dignity and Buddhahood inherent in all people, all life. It celebrates diversity and empowers people to take global responsibility for themselves and their communities. Its guiding light is one that illuminates the vast possibilities of human potential when people rouse their deepest compassion and wisdom through joyous, unrelenting spiritual work. This focus on steady self-reformation, says Ikeda, is the quiet spiritual wellspring from which great social reformations will flow forth. When we change, the world changes, he offers as assurance. The path to peace and human rights for all begins with dialogue within the depths of our own lives.